Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge Simmons.
They're gonna log on in just a moment in the jail. They had someone that needed a probation violation arraignment. Did they contact you about that?
I had somebody that we had yesterday on a bond violation that I spoke to.
Okay. There's another one that has a probation violation. I don't know if they had you speak with them or not.
Do you have the name of the individual?
Alex Benoit?
No, I did not speak to him.
Okay, we will. See if he wants to speak to you after I do the arraignment on the probation violation.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. You can hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're gonna start with Valentino Dwayne Wallace. It's the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Valentino Wallace, counsel appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Wallace for arraignment only this afternoon.
Thank you. Are you Mr. Wallace?
Good evening, Your Honor.
You're Mr. Dwayne Wallace? I'm sorry, Valentino Dwayne Wallace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great, good. Today's the date and time set for an arraignment. I have a felony complaint here. It alleges that on or about February 4th, 2023, at the area of Pleasant Grove and West Jolly in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of weapons carrying concealed. The allegations is that you did carry a dangerous weapon, that being a pistol, concealed on or about your person, and whether concealed or otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, that being a red Cadillac DeVille, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.227. This is a felony, and the maximum penalty is 5 years and or $2,500 in fines. A consecutive sentence, a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or the device may be required under the law. Do you understand the charge there and the maximum penalty?
Yes, Your Honor. The weapon.
Mr. Wallace, we're
that-
not gonna make any statements about the case today, okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so today's the date set for an arraignment. So the purpose of the arraignment is to advise you of your rights, to go over the charges, to make sure you understand what you're being charged with, and then to enter your plea. So we don't want you to say anything that can be used against you, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you have the following rights. You have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Nickel from the Public Defender's Office is here for the purposes of your arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. And you have the right to have an attorney represent you if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney to represent you, you can request to have a public defender appointed to represent you at the expense of the public, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Mr. Wallace is applying for the Public Defender's Office. I'd ask that the court enter a not guilty plea on his behalf and demand a preliminary exam.
Okay, not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. Mr. Wallace, you have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, you have the right to plead not guilty, and you have the right to stand mute. Because you're being charged with a felony, you have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination, and you have the right to have preliminary examination within 21 days of your arraignment date. At the time of preliminary examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden, which is to establish that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. Do you understand your rights so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
If this matter proceeds beyond the preliminary examination, you do have the right to continue to trial, and you have the right to a jury trial. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until proven guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you have the right to have the prosecution have to prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call at trial against you, and you have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence at trial that you believe would further a defense of the charge. Do you have any questions about your rights so far?
No, Your Honor.
You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove that you're guilty or to be used against you. And then you have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. We'll address your bond in just a moment. Are you currently employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you employed, sir?
Bridgewater.
What's your home address?
6965 Meats Drive.
And your phone number?
517-803-1827.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Stacia Buchanan on February 16, 2023 at 9:30 in the morning. That can be held via Zoom. You have a preliminary examination in person before Judge Buchanan. That's February 23rd, 2023 at 9:30. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear, sir, and Zoom instructions for Judge Buchanan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
No, Your Honor.
You can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Mr. Wallace stated, he does live and work in the community. He advised me he has not failed to appear for court before, and he is not on probation or parole. While this is a felony, it is one of the low severity felonies, so I would ask for a personal recognizance bond or any alternative, a low 10% bond. Thank you.
Bond will be set in the amount of 1,500 personal recognizance while out on bond. You have the following conditions, sir. You are not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess or purchase a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. And you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions at this time?
Yes, my bond was said what? I didn't hear my bond.
It's 1,500 personal recognizance.
Okay.
Okay. You have any other questions, sir?
Yeah, all right. That 10%, like I got 10%.
No, it's personal recognizance. You don't have to pay anything to get out, sir.
All right. All right. All right, y'all sit.
We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Xavier Javon Kennedy. Counsel appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Kennedy for arraignment only this afternoon.
You're Xavier Javon Kennedy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, today's the date set for an arraignment. I have a misdemeanor complaint here, and it alleges that on or about February 4th, 2023, at the area of 816 Baker Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of domestic violence. Excuse me. The allegations are that you made an assault and battery upon a Simone Hardrick, who is an individual with whom you have a child in common and or an individual with whom you have a dating relationship, that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.812. Restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is 93 days and or $500 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Mr. Kennedy, do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You have the right to be represented by counsel. You are represented by Ms. Nickel today for the purposes of your arraignment only. You do have the right to have an attorney represent you throughout the pendency of this criminal proceeding, and if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you can request to have court-appointed counsel appointed to represent you at the expense of the public, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about your right to counsel at this time?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Is he requesting the public defender representation?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Kennedy is applying for the public defender's office. I'd ask that the court enter a not guilty plea on his behalf for purposes of arraignment.
Not guilty plea will be entered. Mr. Kennedy, you have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. You have the right in this matter to proceed to a trial, and you have the right to jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you are innocent until proven guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And it's the burden of the prosecution to prove your guilt. They would have to prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You have the right to confront your accusers and to see here any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. Do you have any questions about your rights so far?
No, I do not.
You're currently scheduled for pretrial conference before Judge Cynthia Ward, March 6, 2023 at 10:30 in the morning, that can be held via Zoom, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get the notice to appear for that date and time and Zoom instructions?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Are you currently employed, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
2 men in the truck.
What's your home address?
816 Baker Street.
Okay, and is that the address of the alleged victim?
Yes.
Okay, where will you stay during the pendency of this matter?
I have no idea yet, Your Honor.
Okay, because there will be a no contact order, and you will not be allowed to be within 1,500 feet of wherever the victim lives, works, or goes to school. What's your phone number?
313-739-4073.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
No, ma'am, I am not.
Okay, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kennedy does live and work in the area. I did advise him that he will need to get an alternative address as soon as he can to provide that to the court. He is, as stated, he does not currently on probation or parole. I asked for a personal recognizance bond. Thank you.
Have you ever missed court in the past, Mr. Kennedy?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay, bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, there's a no contact order that's gonna be in place for the protection of the alleged victim, Simone Hardrick. You are not to assault, harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, or threaten Simone Hardrick. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she lives, works, or goes to school. Do you have any questions about that?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, you're not to have contact directly or indirectly with Simone Hardrick. Do you understand that?
Yes,
You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You need to provide the court with an updated address as to where you'll be residing within 48 hours of your release. Okay, sir?
not a problem.
Do you have any questions at this time about your
No,
bond position?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
All right, thank you.
We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kayla Jung Rivet. Counsel. Ms. Nichol, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I called the case. I didn't hear your appearance.
My apologies, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Ms. Rivet for arraignment only this afternoon.
Thank you. Ms. Rivet, today's the date set for an arraignment. I have a misdemeanor complaint here that alleges that on or about February 4th, 2023, in the area of 423 West Shiawassee, Apartment A, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of domestic violence. The allegation is that you did make an assault or an assault and battery upon a Delmar Kittle, an individual with whom you have a dating relationship, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.812. Restitution may be ordered as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's personal property or physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor and the maximum penalty is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented by Ms. Nichol for the purposes of your arraignment today only, but you have the right to have an attorney represent you throughout the pendency of this criminal proceeding. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney to represent you, you can request to have the public defender's office represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, right?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Is she requesting a public defender representation?
Yes, Your Honor, Ms. Rivet is applying for the Public Defender's Office. I'd ask that the court enter a not guilty plea on her behalf for arraignment.
Okay. Not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. Ms. Rivet, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, or you can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. You have the right in this matter to proceed to trial, and you have the right to jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call against you. You have the right to call your own witnesses at trial or present evidence you believe would further a defense to this charge. You have the right to the presumption of innocence, so you're innocent until the prosecution can prove you guilty. You have the right to have them prove each element of the charge of domestic violence beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you have any questions about your rights so far?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
No.
Are you employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you employed?
Value City Furniture.
Is your home address the 423 West Shiawassee address?
Correct.
Where are you going to stay during the pendency of this proceeding?
With my mother.
Where is that?
I know the street name. I don't remember the exact address, but it's Glenburn Avenue in Lansing, Michigan, 48917.
What's your phone number?
517-862-9470.
You're currently scheduled for pretrial conference. It's going to be before Judge Stacia Buchanan. It's going to be on February 28, 2023 at 10:30 in the morning, and that can be held via Zoom, okay?
Yes.
Did you get a copy of the notice to appear for Judge Buchanan and her instructions on how to log in via Zoom?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Have you ever missed court in the past, ma'am?
No.
You can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Ms. Rivet has mentioned, she has not failed to appear before court. She has given the court a partial address. I would advise Ms. Rivet to, as soon as she gets the number of where her mother lives, to make sure the court has that number to have a full address on record. She is not currently on probation or parole, nor does she have any other pending cases for Ingham County. To my knowledge, I'd ask for the court to enter a PR bond on behalf of Ms. Rivet. Thank you.
Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. Ms. Rivet, while you're on bond, the following conditions will apply. Number one, there's going to be a no contact order protecting the alleged victim, Delmar Kittle. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're not to have contact directly or through third party access. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever he lives, works, or goes to school. You're not to harass, assault, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, or threaten Mr. Delmar Kittle. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior while on bond. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. Do you have any questions so far?
Yes. How do I get my pet?
How would you get your pet? Your pet is at the address that you share
Correct.
with Mr. Kittle?
Yes.
I am going to allow you to go once with peace officer to the property to obtain your personal belongings. And that would include any pets that belong to you.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. You also need to update the court with a valid and full address for where you're going to be staying within 24 hours of your release. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
I do not, thank you.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, you're all set, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Taisha Monique Morgan.
Hello. Okay. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Ms. Morgan for arraignment only this afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, you are Miss Taisha Monique Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Morgan, today's the date set for your arraignment. I have here a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about February 4th, 2023 at 632 American Road, that's located in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of identity theft. The allegation is that you did, with the intent to defraud or violate the law, use or attempt to use personal identifying information of a Stephanie Zubricki to obtain a Dodge Charger vehicle, and that you did this contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 445.65 and MCL 445.69. That's a felony, and the maximum penalty is 5 years in prison and or $25,000 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed for any other conviction related to identity theft. There's a count 2, a financial transaction device possession of fraudulent one. The allegations that you did knowingly possess a fraudulent or altered financial transaction device contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.157 N2. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 4 years and or $5,000 in fines. Count 3, police officer assaulting, resisting, obstructing. The allegations are that you did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Officer Trevor Allman, a police officer of the Lansing Police Department that you knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties, and that you did this contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.81 D1. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 2 years and or $2,000 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement, or MCL 750.81 D6 for another violation arising from the same transaction. Do you understand the charges in each 3 of the counts and the maximum penalty attached to each, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney to represent you, you can request to have the public defender's office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. You have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution and to be present with you if you're questioned by law enforcement. You understand that?
Yes.
Ms. Morgan is applying for the public defender's office. Your Honor, I'd ask for the court to enter a not guilty plea on her behalf for the purposes of arraignment and demand a preliminary exam.
Okay, the court will make notation of that here in the file and enter a not guilty plea on your behalf, Ms. Morgan. Ms. Morgan, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty to the charge. You can plead not guilty or you can stand mute. You have the right in this matter because you are being charged with felonies to proceed to preliminary examination. You have the right to preliminary examination on each of the 3 charges. You have the right to have the preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date, which is the date of your arraignment. At the time of your examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden, which is to establish that there is sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to proceed to trial in these matters, and you have the right to a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until proven guilty. Do you understand that, right?
Yes.
You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charges being brought against you. They have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
At the time of trial, you have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses to a trial or present evidence at trial that you believe serve as a defense to these charges. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And then you have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. We'll address your bond in just a moment. Do you have any questions about any of the rights so far?
No.
Okay, you have a probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward. It's going to be February 16, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. That can be held via Zoom, and you should have received her Zoom instructions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have a preliminary examination scheduled before Judge Ward, and that's scheduled at this time for February 24th, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. The preliminary examination will be in person at the court. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or
No.
parole or out on bond on any other matter?
No.
Okay. Are you employed?
No.
What's your home address?
223 East Edgewood Boulevard, Apartment A, Lansing, Michigan, 48911.
What's your phone number?
517-505-6838.
Your Honor, in addition, Ms. Morgan advised me she has not previously failed to appear for court in the past. I do not have a prior criminal record for Ms. Morgan, but as she did state, she is not currently on probation or parole or has any other pending cases. Based on the alleged offenses, if the court is not willing to issue Ms. Morgan a PR bond, I'd ask for a low 10% bond. Thank you.
Okay, bond will be set in the amount of $5,000 personal recognizance while out on bond. You have the following conditions, ma'am. You need to make sure you appear to all of your future court dates, okay?
Yeah,
You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, and you'll be reporting to them weekly, okay?
yeah. Reporting to who? Can you repeat that?
Pretrial services, you should have received information as to how you can contact them from the jail. If you haven't, they'll make sure you get that, okay, ma'am?
Okay,
Great.
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
The bond, what was the bond again?
5,000 personal recognizance. So you do not have to pay anything to get out, okay?
Okay,
You need to make
Yeah.
sure you follow all the bond conditions and come to all of your court dates. Otherwise, that bond can be revoked, okay?
yeah,
Okay, any other questions, ma'am?
no,
Okay, you're all set, thank you.
thank you.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Thomas Mullen. Council appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Karen Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Mullen for arraignment only this afternoon.
Okay, and this is file number 22-02774. You, Mr. Thomas Mullen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Mullen, it looks like a summons did go out for you to appear back on October 27th at 8:30 for an arraignment. Did you receive that summons?
I was incarcerated actually on that date in Jackson County. So no.
Okay. Okay, I have here a felony complaint. The allegations are that on or about July 6, 2022, at the area of Pennsylvania Avenue and I-496, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did in count one possess a controlled substance, that being cocaine, heroin, or other narcotic less than 25 grams, that you did knowingly or intentionally possess less than 25 grams of the mixture containing the controlled substance fentanyl, a Schedule 2. This was contrary to MCL 333.74032A V5, and this is a felony maximum penalty 4 years and or $25,000 in fines. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty attached to the charge?
Yes, I do.
You have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Nickel is representing you today for your arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney represent you throughout the pendency of this criminal proceeding. And if you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can request to have the public defender's office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public, okay?
Yes.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Mr. Mullen is applying for the Public Defender's Office. I'd ask that the court enter a not guilty plea for the purposes of arraignment and demand a preliminary exam.
A not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. Mr. Mullen, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty to the charge. You can plead not guilty or you can stand mute. You have the right to proceed to preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of preliminary examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden, which is to establish that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
If this matter proceeds beyond that, you have the right to have a trial and you have the right to a jury trial. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. You're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you. They have to prove each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses to trial or present evidence at trial you believe would further a defense to this charge. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, I understand.
And do you have any questions about anything at this time?
No, I don't.
Okay, are you currently employed?
Yes, I am. I'm a cashier
Where
at
are
a
you?
cashier at a gas station.
What's your home address?
646 Island Drive, that's Grass Lake, Michigan, 49240.
And your phone number?
517-206-1345.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward, February 16, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. You have preliminary examination before Judge Ward in person at the court, February 24th, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. Your probable cause conference can be via Zoom. Your preliminary examination is in person. You understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, and you received copy of the notice to appear
Yes,
as
I
well
did.
as Zoom instructions? Okay, very good.
Yes, sorry. Yep.
Are you, okay, are you currently on probation, parole, or out on bond or any other matters?
I am right now on bond in Jackson County, yes.
Have you ever missed court in the past?
Actually, no, I have not.
Your Honor, it is my understanding that the pending case in Jackson, he is on bond and has not had any issues while on bond and has appeared for all of his court dates from my understanding of talking with Mr. Mullen as
Ma'am,
well.
ma'am, I just need to be able to review what, and I can't listen to you and read it at the same time, so give me just a moment. What is the matter he's currently out on bond on?
So it's a receiving stolen property. 1,000 or more, but less than 20.
You said in Jackson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for some reason, I don't see that on here. Ms. Nichol, you can proceed with your bond motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mullen does live in Jackson County. He does work in that county. However, he did advise me that he does have transportation to come to any in-court proceedings that he may have here at the 54A District Court. If I would ask for a personal recognizance bond, if the court is not willing to give Mr. Mullen a personal recognizance bond, I'd ask for a low 10% bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I am going to grant the request for personal recognizance bond. I'll set bond in the amount of 2,000 personal recognizance while out on bond. You need to make sure you appear for all of your future court dates, okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I am going to order that you not use, purchase, or possess alcohol, marijuana, or any other controlled substance unless you have a valid prescription. I'm also going to order that you participate in substance abuse testing and monitoring through pretrial services, okay?
Okay, is that gonna have to be done through Lansing, in Lansing, or can I do that in Jackson County, the drug testing?
They can make arrangements for you to do that in the county that you're in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so you're also gonna need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody. You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior, okay, sir?
Yeah, I understand.
Do you have any questions at this time?
No, I don't.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir.
Thank you very much.
No problem. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jasmine Perkins. Counsel Campbell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Ms. Perkins for arraignment only this afternoon.
Ms. Perkins, long time no see.
Great.
Okay, looks like we were here yesterday for a arraignment on a domestic. Yesterday, I advised you of a no contact order. I stated that you were not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever the alleged victim lived, worked, or goes to school. That you were not to have contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim, Michael Hill, and that you were not to be at the premises of 624 West Lapeer. I have here today, less than 24 hours later, an allegation that you violated those three terms of your bond conditions. I've also been informed that there was a statement that you made that you would go back if released again. And so you have the right to have a contested hearing as to these violations. You have the right to be represented by counsel during the contested hearing. You have the right to have the prosecution put on evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did violate your bond conditions as alleged by this PA 53 complaint. If you're found to be in violation of your bond conditions, ma'am, your bond can be revoked pending this matter, or you can be subject to contempt of court. And contempt is punishable with the maximum penalty of 93 days in jail and or $7,500 in fines. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And so yesterday you did make a request for court-appointed counsel, so that request is still pending. And so once counsel is appointed, they will be able to represent you on this matter as well. I assume she wants to enter a non-guilty plea, Ms. Nickel.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not sure if the court is able to set the bond violation hearing today, but I did tell Ms. Perkins if it wasn't scheduled today, once you're appointed, our office could make a request to have the bond violation heard before the pretrial conference. I know that's about a month out from what we had originally scheduled yesterday.
Yeah, I see that her pretrial conference is scheduled for March 13, 2023, before me. However, I will have my staff set a hearing sooner on the alleged bond violation. Ms. Perkins, do you have any questions about your rights as it relates to the PA 53 violation?
Not that I can think of, I do have a question.
Okay.
You do let me go today. My mom said she can help, but she said that she will call to get me help to get some of my stuff from the address. Because my mom said that I can stay with her out in Fowlerville.
What was the question?
What I was wondering is if you let me out, would it be okay if I get someone to help me get my stuff from the 624 address?
When I went over your bond conditions yesterday, I did advise that I would give you an opportunity to go with law enforcement to get your personal items.
Okay. Then if you let me go, I'll get a hold of law enforcement and have them meet me and my mom at the house.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. I certainly understand the court's concern of potentially continuing Ms. Perkins on a PR bond as we are before the court on an allegation of a bond condition from the arraignment yesterday. I would still ask the court to continue Ms. Perkins on a bond, even if the court finds good cause for it no longer to be a PR bond. I would ask that a bond be continued in an amount if a PR bond is not eligible for Ms. Perkins. Thank you.
Thank you. PR bond will not be continued, as I just arraigned Ms. Perkins less than 24 hours ago. I was very clear and explicit about the bond conditions in the no contact order. She questioned at the time of her arraignment about going back to the property because she had a concern that her name was on the lease first, but advised the court that both their names were on the lease. I told her then did not matter whose name was on the lease first, that they were both lawful residents of the apartment and that the alleged victim would get the benefit of protection under the no contact order. And so the allegation that I have before me based on the police report is that immediately upon release, Ms. Perkins allegedly went back to that property. When the police made contact, she advised the police that the judge did not really tell her anything as it relates to the conditions of her release. And so I don't believe that she can appreciate on her own the seriousness of the no contact order and follow the court's orders without the court enforcing any further oversight. So at this point, I'm going to revoke the PR bond, and bond will be set in the amount of $2,500 cash surety. All previous bond conditions will continue. That will include, for your benefit, Ms. Perkins, the no contact order. You're not to have any contact directly or indirectly with Michael Hill. You're not to be at the premises of 624 West Lapeer, apartment 3. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever the victim lives, works, or goes to school. Do you have any questions so far?
Actually, yes. I know you said no on the PR, but I can get my mom to get me some clothes out in Fowlerville. I won't even have to go to the house on Lapeer. And if you guys
Okay,
need to call her to
That
get.
would be
proof,
great. So
I
once
think-
you post bond, that's wonderful. Once you post bond, then that sounds like a plan for you. Sounds like it could have been a plan yesterday too, but nonetheless, the bond, as previously stated today, is what's going to go forth, and that's the bond in 2,500 cash surety with the conditions as I mentioned to you before of the no contact order. You need to appear for court for all of your future court dates, and you're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever the victim lives, works, or goes to school. Do you have any other questions, ma'am?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, you're all set, ma'am. Thank you. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Alex Wayne Benoit, file number 21-00120 SD, council appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tara Nickel from the Ingham County Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Benoit for arraignment only this afternoon.
Okay, you're Alex Wayne Benoit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so today's the date set for an arraignment for a bench warrant for probation violation. The allegation here on the request and summons for probation violation is that you failed to report for your initial intake appointment via Zoom back on December 20th, 2021 1 at 10 a.m. and then again on December 28, 2021 at 8:30 in the morning. And so it looks like you were before Judge Cynthia Ward. You entered into a guilty plea to count 1. And there was a sentencing held. It looks like you appeared for sentencing back on December 13, 2021. And Judge Ward sentenced you to 12 months probation, and you were ordered to report to the probation department so that you can go over the judgment of sentence and start your programming, the allegations that you failed to do that. And so you have the right to a contested hearing as to the allegation of the bond violation. You have the right to be represented by counsel during the hearing for the, probation violation, not bond violation. For the probation violation, you have the right to a contested hearing. You have the right to be represented by counsel during the probation violation hearing. If you're found to be in violation of your probation status can be revoked. It can be extended. You can be sentenced to a term of jail time, or additional oversight measures can be implemented. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you requesting a public defender to represent you for the violation?
Your Honor, does that delay the court proceedings?
I don't know what you mean delay. It's not, you're not having a court date today or hearing today, if that's what you mean.
Oh, okay, then I would advise myself to do that, yes.
Okay, so we'll get you an opportunity to meet with Ms. Nichols so that you can do an intake. It looks like in the underlying matter, were you represented by private counsel? Did you hire your own
Yes.
attorney? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, and then you'll meet with the public defender so they can do an intake. This matter will be set for a probation violation hearing before Judge Ward's courtroom, okay?
Okay.
What's your address, sir?
310 East Oliver Street, Corona, Michigan. That's 48817.
What's your phone number?
989-472-7502. I just got that number reinstated as well, so for the court. So should be on.
Okay, sounds good. Are you employed?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, your bond in this matter will be set at 5,010%. And you'll get a notice in the mail as to when your hearing is for your probation violation. Okay?
Okay, so does that mean, sorry, do I have a right to ask a question?
Yep,
Sorry.
you have a right to ask a question.
Sorry, I didn't wait for you to ask me. I'm sorry about that, Your
No,
Honor.
you're fine. I was gonna ask you that next. Do you have a question?
Okay, so if I can get my 10% settled, I will still have a court date and be able to be released for the probation violation, or is there no ability to be released prior to that to get that settled?
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. I am setting a bond, and so the bond is 5,010%. You will post that bond, and you'll still have the court date, and that bond will be held pending that court date. Okay.
Okay. I was just, so I can be released on that 10%. Okay, all right, thank
That's
you. That's all I'm
correct.
asking.
Okay, sounds good. And do you wanted to meet with the public defender as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll make arrangements for you to have that private meeting. And then any other questions you have at this time, sir?
No, Your Honor.